I did was I went and ripped the model from VRChat illegally. I uploaded it into some software that I downloaded off the internet, which is the same software I'm still using today. Because I saw this girl DM video. She recommended this software called Love It. I said, okay, that'll work.
Yes, there's a lot of controversy involving Filian that are a little bit vitriolic, but this controversy really gave her aunties a lot to sink their teeth in and a lot to chew on. And this isn't gonna go away as easily as the other stuff because it's extremely serious. All right, so it all started with an announcement from Good Smile Company announcing Filian's nendoroid. Nendoroid is like a chibi version of a VTuber, and it's like some kind of figurine. It's a very big company. They were supposed to be at Anime Expo, and it started slowly. Okay, there was first one post, then another. People questioning how she's doing those merch because it's a known thing that Filian has been using like a VR model. I did a video on Filian actually, and I think I mentioned it in the video as well. So Filian uses a booth model. A booth is a website where you can purchase like various stream assets for relatively cheap. There's a wide range of prices. Her model is worth like 7,000 yen, which is, I don't know, maybe around $60. And but then the situation kind of blew up overnight, and the next day the Japanese creator of that booth model, which is the base model that Filian is currently using, released a statement because he received a lot of reports from users. The creator of her model is called Jingo. Jingo is a Korean artist, by the way. He says, "Hello, this is Jingo. This morning I received many messages about the announcement posted by Good Smile Company about the production of a nendoroid based on a VTuber who used my Rindu model as a base for their avatar. Since I found out when I was still traveling, it took me a while to figure out what was going on. I did not receive any prior communication from Good Smile Company nor the VTuber in question about the production of this nendoroid figure. From my point of view, the fact that there was an announcement of plans to professionally produce a figure based on my character despite the fact that I had yet to hear about it is very puzzling. So I am currently in the process of communicating with Good Smile Company and the VTuber in question, and I am awaiting a response. Since this situation involves companies and not just individual people, it will take a bit of time for everything to be resolved. I hope you can all understand this. Please wait for the outcome." So this is her model, by the way. You guys might recognize this other Filian outfit. So Filian has a lot of models that she swaps with. She's got a lot of toggles and lots of outfits. And that's been like a huge part of her stream is she's so interactive. She often uses stuff on the fly. She'll swap outfits like while making a joke, and it always works. So she is a recolor of that Rindu model. And from my understanding, these recolors or like extra color options, they come with the pack. That's not something that she modified herself. So when this issue was brought out, and since the artist replied, it just brought up a lot of questions. So what about all the other merch that Filian has done prior to this one? Did she have the rights to produce those merch? So there's two different type of rights that we need to talk about here that have a very big distinction. The first one is commercial rights, which is something usually that you probably buy separately. It costs a little more when you purchase art, or sometimes it's also included in the price. And this is, well, you have the right to distribute merchandise and distribute different products from the image of your model. The other one, ownership right, is a bit different. So let's say I have a huge IP and Rima Evenstar, and then Netflix wants to do a show on me, on Rima Evenstar, then they'll have to go buy the ownership rights or get a license from the person that owns these rights. This person might be me, or it might be my model mama, but when it comes to corporations, usually they purchase the ownership rights. There's a contract involved that transfer these rights from one entity or another. So once that came out, a lot of people started pointing out like, well, what about her gamer sub cup? What about the makeshift doll? What about the Novel Horizon figurine? did she get rights for these? And then Filian announcement with her QRTing it got community noted as pressure mounted, especially on Twitter. And it says, Good Smile Company announced a nendoroid Filian figure, but the design is based on reunion by Jingo. Jingo posted that they were not informed or asked for rights regarding this figure's production. And then after that, Twitter just exploded. So Filian has baseline a lot of antis. She's been streaming for a long time. She's extremely popular. And she's got antis for various reasons. One of them is probably just what we call the tall puppy syndrome. And it's like a metaphor to how, you know, the tallest puppy, the one that kind of grows taller than everybody, that just performs better, that is more successful. People always want to tear that person down. So there's definitely a lot of that. And there's a lot of things that she did that kind of contributed to it, which we'll go over. But a lot of people started speculating a bunch of stuff, like Filian did an announcement. We go check on Filian's Discord. She's just talking about her stream with Bao that's gonna happen on MAX. Now, you know how it is on the internet. When somebody's in a controversy and it becomes like a big scandal, especially on Twitter, then let's say they did one disagreeable thing, and users start to dig up all the other disagreeable things they've done in the past, and all of that just resurfaces. So this is the start. First of all, they brought back up her like edit thing. So Filian wanted to hire new clip editors. This is her payment plan. It's basically $200 per 1 million views, and then she'll send a payment out of every month. So minimum payout is $20 or 100k views, and then users were upset because you had to at least get 100k views to get paid, and then they were like, Filian is scamming people, she's taking advantage of editors, she should really respect them. Well, this sentiment kind of plays into what we're seeing now with Filian should be respecting artists. Filian is, you know, disrespecting artists' rights. The other thing people, you know, dislike Filian for is that she has a fansly and she has an AI there which you can talk to. And for those who don't know, Filian is actually the top 4 VTuber right now, right under Kizuna Ai in the world. So she's really big. She's extremely popular. She's also the person behind the VTuber Awards. And just a thing like the VTuber Award show, which she's organized, it was a huge project. It was a tribute to, you know, give some awards to the biggest names into the industry, and people that also upset people. If you want to know all about this, just go watch my video on Filian, basically. And the last thing that people are upset with her is because of a joke that she made with George Floyd. This is the context that you guys will need to keep in mind when we go over what is being said on her further into the stream. VTuber Award show receives a large amount of criticism from detractors on social media. Okay, that wasn't a timestamp. Criticized, with some people doubting the message of being inclusive to VTubers big and small. Some even went as far as claiming that she was racist because of a George Floyd joke she made.
You're breathtaking! You're breathtaking! You're breathtaking! Chat, that was an epic quote from George Floyd. Alright, was that edgy or not?
The award show preparations, it was pretty edgy. Probably not a joke I would have made, but Filian is like a motor mouth. She just constantly yapping, and I think she doesn't, it's not being analyzed properly before coming out sometimes. I don't really mind this joke. Like, it's a joke that all the comedians have done, even black ones. I wouldn't do it. It's not my type of humor. But in comedy, there's a question about comedy and what goes and what not goes. The usual thing is that pretty much anything goes in comedy. Yeah, anything goes in comedy. There's a time and place. There's also a question about, you know, using your platform responsibly. As content creators, we influence our audience somehow, and I don't believe everybody uses their audience ethically and professionally. I'm not saying that about Filian. I think she's actually a pretty family-friendly streamer. She like never curses. She keeps it pretty much PG-13 all the time. I think this was just one of her hiccups. The copyright issue though is, again, a huge oversight on her part. And I'm not too sure what happened here or how no one has ever brought it up to her before. Doesn't Filian have a team behind her? I mean, she probably has a mod team. I don't know about the rest. All right, so the last thing is that Filian, people are mad about Filian because she has an AI tag art. And now I'm going to explain to you what are art tags for. Basically, when you're a VTuber, people make fan art of you. You ask them to hashtag it with your like personalized hashtag. Mine is, for example, hashtag Rima art. And if I start getting a lot of AI art, I'm going to create another hashtag called something like, I don't know, hashtag Rima AI art to sort out, you know, the real art from the AI art. Because when you're looking through your hashtag, it's because you want to be able to source out some quick fan art that you can use for thumbnails, for graphics. So you don't want to accidentally use AI art for that. So this is the reason why a lot of streamers separate their hashtags that way. And this is not only a Filian thing. A lot of girls do it. I think a lot of FaZe girls do it. I've seen a bunch of VTubers do it. So for some reason, it's creating way more controversies than the other girls. Well, this person called Nanobite VT is saying, I'm genuinely so glad this is finally being talked about. Her model isn't even recolored because that model already comes with those alternate textures. Everything she has done with the model has seemed extremely money hungry and ingenuine. Yo, Filian doesn't seem like a money hungry girl. She just seems content brain and she probably just didn't think about it. She's probably the type of girl, this is how I analyze her personality. She just always go, 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 go and doing everything very fast, and she probably just doesn't really pay attention to those details. Especially knowing that Jingo, the owner, never knew about it. Her community loves to attack and harass others using the Rindo model, which tells us that she rarely ever likes to credit Jingo in the first place. Why is she not making it known within the community that the model isn't even her own? It's cheapstick behavior that harms Jingo's career. A lot of people are attributing this to malice, and Filian just doesn't come off as a very malicious girl to me. So basically, after all this backlash, her model got removed from the Anime Expo convention. And the worst part is that this screenshot is resurfacing where Filian is saying, if you want to make merch of her for conventions, go for it. My manager is me. And the thing is, they're like, well, she's given away someone else's rights because she doesn't own the rights to the model. And by saying that, she's kind of given the permission to other people to create derivative work of her. And then this clip came out where basically she says that she paid $0 for this model. This is the clip itself.
Started face tracking with it. So what I did was I went and ripped the model from VR chat illegally. I uploaded it into some software that I downloaded off the internet, which is the same software I'm still using today. Because I saw this girl DM video. She recommended this software called Luppet. I said, okay, that'll work. So then I did that. Started face tracking with it. So what I did was I went and ripped the model from VR chat illegally. I uploaded it into some software that I downloaded off the internet, which is the same software I'm still using today. Because I saw this girl.
So that's a pretty damning statement. That looks bad. Like, that looks so bad in all kind of optics. I have a feeling that she's not telling the truth here. I actually don't think she paid $0 for her model, but that's just my personal opinion. You guys are totally okay to disagree. Basically, because she mentioned that she learned that from somebody that did a tutorial video called Girl DM. Girl DM had to release a statement because she's been tagged so much. You guys don't understand how aggressive people are. Like the amount of people forcing other creators and other people to say something is insane. The amount of hate people have in their heart over somebody they never met is insane. Like, you can have some curiosity over the topic, you can try to learn about how the fuck did this happen, you can be in disbelief, but to be so affected and emotionally involved in it is a little wild. So yeah, Girl DM casualty, one of the VTuber drama casualty of July 6th. So she says here, I made a TikTok years ago about Luppet, which is a software for tracking your model like VTube Studio. Girl DM also had her start in VR chat, kind of like Filian. I have never ripped any models, nor have I a desire to. If you're interested to know any of my model information, twitch.tv girldm/about has everyone I have worked with. I've been tagged by a few people who have seen a clip that doesn't really clarify and makes it seem like I have knowledge of ripping models. I don't. Then Pippa says, am I crazy? I followed it shut down 2 years ago. She says, no, they're still working on other stuff. And this person says, you're one of the OGs. You care too much about your craft to rip models. So anyone saying otherwise are omega reaching. And Girl DM responds, I'm pretty sure the art gun would flame me alive if I ever lifted acid. Not only that, Filian has done a U2's collectible vinyl figure. This is the waifu cup. The interesting thing about the waifu cup collaboration is that Jingo was actually credited in that one. And usually Filian doesn't credit Jingo, even though it's part of his TOS on Booth. So here she actually followed part of the rules. So it makes me wonder if she has been in talk with him, or if it's just waifu cup that asked for the model artist credit. But here, for this collaboration, they seem to have followed TOS. Then there's another artist involved in this. This is her mint model. It's called Lil Filian, I think. And it's like a smaller version of her. It's really cute, actually. So the mint model is the one that the plushie's been based on. And it's also the one that her video game collab has been based on. So the mint model is made by Komado. They've made a very short statement. They just said, we have received numerous inquiries regarding a specific VTuber. Regarding this matter, we do not permit the use of the mint sales model as an original character for sales plush toy. So he's directly referencing this and distribution of skins in a racing game. And he's saying that because it's also been brought to his attention that Filian has made a skin based on that model in Oh Baby Kart, which is a video game. And she also has a figurine by Novel Horizon. This one might be the most distinct copyright-wise than the other figures. This user is saying, for those who don't know, Novel Horizons, who basically represent the grifter company, Talent MSMs. So Talent MSM is the talent agency that's been in hot water recently because people find out that they weren't officially registered as a company. Convention appearance sold pre-orders for a Filian Lost figurine at $235 a pop and is currently in production. So the case of Nurosama is very similar to Filian, but it's like a good way of doing it. Basically, Nurosama was based on a free model as well. Nurosama is the model that she originally used is the default one from VTube Studio. But once Vidal became pretty popular and Nurosama was a project that worked, he asked another artist to create its own Nurosama. And this is the redesign. It's like distinct enough as to not infringe on copyright. He made Nurosama his own, but he still kept the essence, so, you know, she would stay recognizable and she would be on brand. So I'm actually quite surprised that Filian hasn't done something like that. I was under the assumption that she must have purchased the license for merchandise from her model at some point in her career. Someone with a Doki PFP tweet all of Filian's Yab backlogs at Doki, but urging her to drop her as a friend. Are you serious? What? I've seen Nichi sisters employed the same MO to press her to make a statement on the Shikanako Famination. I don't know what the Shikanako Fanimation is, but if you're adding somebody, if you're adding me to do something, a lot of people were like, are you gonna cover this? Are you gonna cover this? Are you gonna do this? If you ask me one more time, I'm not gonna cover it. I was gonna cover it, but I might not now. All right, so just to be clear before we move on, that the Komado issue and the Jingo issue are two complete different legal issues that are at play. So today we got an answer from Jingo, which I've covered on Twitter, but the Komado issue, because it's stuff that's been done in the past, this merch has already been produced, that's a completely different issue. But let's start with Jingo. So Jingo says, I just returned home early this morning, so I apologize for the delay in organizing this post. I have received replies from both the VTuber and Good Smile company, and I will proceed to ensure my rights as much as possible. Him, Filian, and Good Smile are in talk. My position is that I want to have an amicable discussion through communication. The models I make are product that anyone can use if they purchase them from Booth. The main avatar is made for the purpose of driving VR chat, but the terms of use allow the use of avatar outside of VR chat if they cannot be used by a third party other than the buyer. We also allow individual VTuber activities, so that means that you're allowed to stream with this. However, just because a model is purchased from the booth does not mean that the buyer has all the rights. And since it is a form of borrowing a model, we ask that you credit us if you generate revenue from general VTuber activities such as videos or streaming. So far, basically he's gonna go over all of his term of services, and he says that if there's a license that you need to purchase, by the way, when you purchase art, and the license to stream with it, because you make money from streaming, you monetize it, so you need to have this license to stream. He says you can have that license if you purchase the model. All you gotta do is credit me. So for the next part, he says, furthermore, we have a term of use that requires prior contact for activities that are more business-like. So you need to contact him in advance before you engage in those business activities, such as character product production, beyond general VTuber activities such as video and streaming, and we will provide guidance on crediting after review. He continues to say, usually it's not that big, and there are many cases where individual VTubers produce and sell their own products without going through a company, so there's usually no problem selling these kinds of character products. So, from my understanding, if you go through another company, you need his permission, but I think if you're just gonna conduct regular merch deal or merch of your own, then you can do it yourself. It's either that or maybe you still need to advise him, I'm not sure, but either way he doesn't seem against granting those licenses. And I think for like regular merch, it sounds like it's free. But if it's involving another company, which means that they're gonna license your likeness to create products out of it, then you need to go through him and he's gonna give you some sort of guidance. Maybe there's going to be some kind of fee involved, but you got to discuss it with the artist. However, if there's an affiliation or a company or a corporation that is not an individual, even if it is not a commercial use, we receive accurate usage guidance and prior contact. The problem I had was that even though VTuber does not own the copyright to the character, the project was carried out through a contract with a company without reporting to the creator of the character. So here, Filian made a contract with Good Smile where she granted the rights to use her likeness, but the thing is, she never owned those rights. They weren't hers to give out in the first place, so that contract doesn't work. And then Jingo proceeds to say, I don't need any royalties or incentives, I just want to keep the copyright of the characters, and if you allow this, such as selling licenses, then the characters derived from my model will have their own copyrights, which could lead to complicated copyright battles between people using the same model as a base. So this part becomes a little bit more complex. And I have two theories for this part, and I've consulted with Legal Mindset, and he seems to agree with me. Basically, if she allows the selling of the license to Filian, then it changes the terms of services for all the model bases sold that have been, or all models that are derived from this basis. So if she gives the selling license to Filian, it would probably give the same selling license to all of her VTuber babies. Basically, all of the Filian copies would also have this selling license. Not only that, but there's another layer to it. It's either both of these theories or one of them. The other layer is that if she permits the license to Filian and Filian sells her product, she would have ownership of her likeness. But what about all the other Filian copies that have been sold in the past? What if they decide to make a merch that's in the colors of Filian, and then it would create complicated copyright issues between Filian and those other like, and her VTuber sisters and brothers. So she ends by saying, I hope you realize that the characters in my booth are public models, not just from one person. And unless they're completely your own original design, no matter how you modify them, the original author's marks remain. So copyright is not relinquished. Because there's no such thing as Filian. Filian is a rando, and a license would be for making random merch. It would be one or the other, right? Like, he either gives the license to rando, then there wouldn't be a Filian, or he gives the license to Filian, and then all the other rendo models are fucked. Every creator or model has different terms and conditions, so please be sure to check them out before using them. After this statement come out, actually we noticed that she put the model credit in her bio. This is her old one. There was no model credit. This is the new one with Rindo's credit here. Because she is now, you know, she spoke to Rindo and he asked her to follow the task, probably. Or he clarified it with her. It could have been that she was in talk with him. She misunderstood the commercial license and now she clarified it. Or maybe, other potential theory, she never spoke with him, never thought about it, thought what she was doing was okay, and now she realizes that she does need to credit him. The problem is this situation might be getting settled. So right now, the contract that Filian has with Good Smile is not gonna work, right? Because the artist is saying that she can't give out the license as it is. Now that doesn't mean that maybe they're just gonna nullify this contract. They're gonna keep on talking, and then they're gonna come up with another way to have this collaboration happen. That could be a potential reason. Or maybe if I'm Good Smiles, I'm a sponsor, I see all of this go down, there's a bunch of controversy, maybe I just steer clear from that and I'm like, Filian, you know, maybe not today, finally. So there is a possibility they could still redo the contract with some modification, or maybe it's not gonna happen. We'll just have to wait and see. But this is completely separate from the other merch that she's done before. So this one, and this one that are based off the mint model, that's the biggest issue too, because she made money off of that. The second artist that was involved, Komaro, didn't see a cent from that. So maybe there's going to be some kind of compensation worked here. I'm not sure, but I'm curious to see what kind of negotiations or agreement that they're going to come up with. I'd like to see some good faith coming out from the Filian side. I think there's some reparation that needs to be done, not just from the legal side, but for good optics. I think we need like a show of good faith to reestablish Filian's reputation. Yes, there's a lot of controversy involving Filian that are a little bit vitriolic, but this controversy really gave her aunties a lot to sink their teeth in and a lot to chew on. And this isn't gonna go away as easily as the other stuff because it's extremely serious. Summarize, Jingo, who owns Rindo's model, said that, but Komaro, who owns the mint model, is still a question mark. So what's gonna happen with Komaro, we don't know. Now, let's look a little bit at the comments. I think Jingo's statement toward the end is a good reflection of the sentiment most artists have in this space. They're not asking for a cut, they're asking for respect so their models can continue to be used by anyone. Artists like Jingo are the opposite of greedy. If any of y'all knowingly supported her after the George Floyd joke and only now dislike her, I think you're a terrible person. The AI tag and stealing from artists should only add on to your dislike for her. It really should not be the sole factor. Filian also mocked the murder of George Floyd and refused to remove an actual groomer sexual predator from one of her events. And tons of big EN VTubers support her and do collabs with her all the time, like it doesn't fucking matter, Lamau. It's kinda sad that now that Filian is in hot water with copyright/commercial right issues, now everyone wants to talk about it. Not when she made racist comments, not the AI art tag, not her trying to hide that one of her mods got called out for DF file, yeah. Her having AI art tag is her endorsing AI. It's really not. And it's crazy how the information gets watered down until it becomes... It started with Filian has an AI art tag to sort out her fan art, to Filian supports AI art. It's crazy. The George Floyd joke, I think that's definitely the worst thing that's happened, and I can understand why people are upset with that. But at the same time, there's African American creators that make these jokes. Are they gonna be upset at them too, or are they just gonna be upset at Filian? It's totally fine if you, to a certain degree, if you're actually upset at her for these things, and these things, you know, you put a lot of value on them, all of them okay, but I don't know if doing a public call out of it does anything really to help you except get you likes. And then the other part is when people dislike somebody for the simple reason that they dislike them, often I've noticed they try to attribute all of these moral reasons to it, to villainize them and to somehow justify their hatred for them on social media. And the moral reasons and the simple dislike end up like mixing together. So we're gonna see in those comments, there's some people that it's obvious that they just hate her because she's Filian, and there's some other people that are probably more engaged than others and more take these issues more seriously. So this is on the, you know, she never paid for the model. The other allegation that came through a lot is that Filian often does like gymnastics in her stream and stuff, and she breaks VR sets very frequently. She gets new like VR pieces, $10,000 plus on replacing VR set, but she won't pay 7,000 yen model. Obviously she can afford it. It's so silly that something like this comes to bite her in the ass. Like, man, you really gotta cross your T's and dot your I's when you're a content creator. I think I'm gonna, after this, I think I'm gonna draw a contract because I negotiated my new model commercial rights and I have them. But now I think I want this in contract just to be safe. Oh, this is a good point. Okay, so you're saying, if I understand this properly, that the Filian statement could be for either model. And if it's probably the mint model. You know what? I didn't even think of this. It's true. It could be for the mint model. It doesn't... We're all assuming it's for the Ringo model. So this person says, really disheartening to see a big VTuber disrespect booth guideline, take advantage of booth creators and try to pass off a model design as their own for merchandising reselling purposes with zero permissions. Insane how nothing was ever passed by the model creator for this. That is insane that the model creator never saw this till now. This tweet has 1.1 million views, by the way. That's crazy. The other thing is, it's crazy that she never thought about it before, because even Nuzagi, when he was approached to do his own merch line, he said that he couldn't because he knows that he doesn't own the rights to his model and to his likeness. So like, Nuzagi knew about that. Why didn't Filian know about this? And there's also very large creators that are jumping on the bandwagon. Crazy to see creators disrespect artists and other creators and still make it so big. Meanwhile, there are smaller creators who are so respectable and amazing to work with, but are never given the time of day. But are they entertaining? Like, I don't understand what being respectable and amazing to work with has to do with you being an entertaining creator, though. Sorry to be a hater, but I think it's really interesting that this particular VTuber has the money to keep replacing all the VR equipment she keeps breaking for no good reason, but not enough to buy the rights of the free design she uses from the artist that created it. I've always been a bit on the fence about whether Filian is a bad person or just a bit clueless and insensitive, but after years of using a design that isn't hers, not crediting the artist anywhere, and going on to make merch of that artist design without any sort of communication, it really feels like something that someone who thinks they have too much clout to be touched would do. It paints Filian as both a thief and someone willing to throw their size around. She clearly has the money to afford a proper original design, but she thinks she's untouchable and doesn't seem to respect the artist. I think the bragging of pirating the model really was the nail in the coffin here. I understand wanting artists to get paid for their work, just like you would any other occupation. But there has been this weird idolization of artists recently that I just don't understand. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I have to agree with that. There seems like, I mean, I love artists, love their work. Obviously, we need them. Obviously, we need to respect them. But it feels like a lot of the super pro artist argument is that they constitute the whole community, when in fact it really is a symbiotic relationship of offer and demand between creators and artists, and creators need to make money and be successful, so there is an industry and a niche those artists can operate in. It's impossible to not know about Filian. This is nonsense. There are people who unironically think Vox Akuma is the biggest male VTuber and not some random Japanese guy size in one place mean nothing in another. True. I mean, the fact that the model artist just found out about her when she's like the 4th most popular VTuber in the world says a lot about that, right? I mean, it's not, we don't have to pick a side on whether who's most important. Like, everybody has its place in a community. And without one piece, everything else falls apart. It's like nature. When you take out one piece of nature, everything works. When you observe nature, everything works together. And when you start observing nature like this and understanding this thing, you realize that it reflects life a lot. Artist idolization right now is anti-AI virtue signaling because people are scared of AI taking jobs. That being said, Phil bragging about paying $0 in the past is not a good look for her. That is true. You should never brag about pirating anything unless it's Photoshop, Adobe. My brother is an artist, does galleries, paints murals for LA, cities, etc. Oh, your brother is very talented. His words, if you can be replaced by AI or not, the issue is always with yourself. Damn. Wait, your brother looks like a dope guy. So there's people that are speaking out on the topic that are, it shows that they know much more what they're talking about than others. Mariyumi, really great YouTuber, has an amazing channel. She's curating this post, sort of starting an adjacent conversation. This person is saying, the whole Filian situation awful and embarrassing, by the way. Got some people discussing whether or not she's a proper VTuber. As someone who's also been called a streamer YouTuber, not a proper VTuber, I don't think I'm sure exactly of what makes one. Mariyumi says there's no such thing as a proper VTuber. Helene was one of the pioneers to this niche, and she made a lot of shitpost skits about Ebola-chan and had multiple other characters she would play as. I think people like to gatekeep with made-up words to make others feel bad. I really agree with that statement. I do feel like people love to gatekeep with made-up words. It's basically the opposite of when the artist tried to extort Project Melody. Oh, you bring up a good point. Yeah, I made a video on this. So there's been similar things happening in the past with copyright issues between large content creators and artists. One of them being Project Melody. So what happened with Project Melody is that she had a verbal agreement, and also she had a written agreement with an artist. It was a written, like non-official written agreement. It was via Twitter DMs, and there was this invoice that was created, and commercial rights was checked. But the artist was called DigiTrevX, and they became very close. He helped her with a lot of things. At one point, he got tired of it. A relationship fell sour. She soared in popularity, and they went their separate ways. After that, he kind of decided that he wasn't getting paid enough. He hadn't gotten paid enough for all the work that he did. He demanded more payment. He demanded that she signs with an agency that would cost her $30,000 a month. Insane amount of money. After she reached out to some friends to get second opinions, she realized this is really not a good deal. I can't accept that. He became really mad at her. He got mad. He says, well, you owe me this. He was gonna try to extort her because he was like, I did all of this work for you for free and blah, blah, blah. So they didn't reach an agreement. When she started streaming, she got DMCA'd because you can report videos on Twitch for copyright issues, and basically took her stream down by filing a DMCA claim. So even if you do have it in writing, even if you do have a verbal agreement with somebody, that doesn't mean that they're gonna respect it. and you really need a contract. So then there's like these claims that people are mad at Filian's circle. They're mad that not enough people are calling her out. I mean, literally the whole weekend, my whole Twitter feed was just call outs. Why has no one in Filian's circle done or said anything to hold her accountable for not only stealing art, but also making a profit off the same assets? I mean, I agree that the artist should be compensated and needs to be made whole. And she needs to take the appropriate measures to fix this because it was an incredible blunder. But why are you supposed to do a public call out for this? It's being discussed behind the scenes between the artist and her. It's none of your business. Yeah, why won't Filian's friends disavow her? The guilt by association bullcrap. Well, your silence is violence, okay? Chad, do you think Filian's going to commission a new model? It'd be nice. I think it'd be not only good legally, not only also good optic wise, but it'd be a refreshing change for her brand. I'd like to see like a more high-end version of Filian, like a nicer, clean version of it. I like to see that. Oh, this person replied to it. I forgot to put that in. Because normal people don't cannibalize each other at the drop of a hat, especially when things are most likely being sorted out professionally behind the scenes. A little later than they should have been, granted, but not something anyone in her circle really needs to butt into. I don't know who this person is, but they're based. Yeah, I agree with this. We've seen Lil Phil, now we need Mommy Phil. Yeah, yes, I agree. Imagine being a VTuber and having zero respect for artists. I would need to know more about Filian to know if she has zero respect for artists. I'm sure she has some respect for artists, right? I'm happy to hear things are being worked out with the original artist in the background, but Filian's radio silence is coming off as really disrespectful. She's ripped models from multiple artists and they all deserve an apology at the very least. I feel like Filian is waiting to see what happens before she releases a statement, right? Like, she doesn't know what's going on right now. She probably can't speak about it. And speaking about something incomplete will only make it worse. I hope Filian also purchases the model legally. Not sure if you know, she ripped it from the VR chat. People are still replying to Jingo showing her this clip. But again, we don't know if she is talking about Jingo here. It could be the mint model as well, or it could be something else. Why are unaffected parties demanding apologies? Listen, Twitter will ask for an apology without your consent. There was also some vitriol about her Discord on 4chan. This screenshot has made its way to Twitter, that's why I included it. Basically, people are upset because Filian's mods have been banning a lot of people for asking about the drama or for typing, which is what Filian said on the Good Smile tweet when her nendoroid got dropped. But there's like a very simple explanation to this, and I think the mods are a bit trigger happy on the ban because, well, there's a bunch of people that are joining the Discord because of the drama. There's a lot of trolls, and some people might not be malicious. Some people might actually be genuinely trying to understand what's going on in the Discord server, asking questions because they're worried. But right now the mods, they're probably overwhelmed and they can't differentiate or take the time to differentiate between who's trying to create drama, who's a troll, and who's not. So they're just gonna, you know, ban a lot of people. And I kind of get that. I mean, fuck, running a Discord server is so difficult, guys. People really, you create a Discord server and you're like, everything's gonna be fine. Guys, just act reasonably. But then what I'm realizing now is that everybody's reasonable definition is different. My reasonable is not the same as somebody else's reasonable. So yeah, straight up banning people in the Discord who question what's going on, even those without malicious intent. If Filian apologized, the antis will just say it's too late or not good enough or whatever. Oh yeah, for sure. The antis are always going to be against Filian, but what Filian needs to do now is, well, first of all, she needed to act a little faster. She was a bit slow, but what she needs to do looking forward is to convince and show good faith for all the people that are on the fence about the situation, or all the people that are in the middle, and also to please her fans. So this is the group of people you need to focus on. The antis, you're never gonna convince them. They're never gonna be your audience, and they don't watch you anyway, so they don't really matter. To end this, Filian streamed today. She had 8,000 viewers, same as usual. And Trigger Point is saying here, Filian can't go back from this. Filian is done for, because all the V-tweeters were kind of tweeted that. And I mean, Filian just going on as usual, I suppose. I suppose she's not done for.